Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video we will be talking about Mr. Corvus Glaive. His initial blitz starts the night I'm recording this video. So he's definitely a player people are interested in, and he's supposedly a part of the new arena meta per Fox Next. Obviously they don't necessarily always get everything right, but and they self-admitted this in one of the questionnaires we've recently seen with them. But we're still kind of expecting this Black Order team to really be a little bit different, given the fact that you need all four of the Black Order to give Thanos all of the stones for him to be empowered. So anyway, next piece of the puzzle for the Black Order, I'm going to go through the abilities and their energy. We're going to go through the stats, as always, my nice handy-dandy spreadsheet, and rank all the stats, which is my favorite part of this. And then we'll look at the T4s real briefly, not the Yeti style that I do them when we actually look at a full team, but I'm going to give my initial thoughts on what I see in these T4s. So anyway, let's get to this. WolverThor. Alright, so brief look at Corvus in game. You can see mine's a whopping 9K. I've been waiting to bring him up a little bit with milestones. I've got 4 reds on him, which isn't too bad. I haven't brought up any of the abilities, but I do have him at tier 11. So he's getting ready to go. Pretty cool model. Kind of a creepy looking grin there. And yeah, so anyway, let's go check out. I like to look at msf.gg when I look at the abilities and energy. I really like that site, so we're gonna go over there and check that out. All right, first up, and this part's kind of important given his synergy with Proxima, but the assist counter info, he attacks primary target for 125 piercing plus clear 1 positive effect. At level 6 for his basic, it is an attack primary target for 160% piercing plus clear 2 positive effects. 50% chance to gain an assist from an ally Proxima Midnight. This attack cannot be blocked if Proxima Midnight is an ally. This attack cannot be dodged. So we'll see if he's a similar to Okoye with his focus. We'll get into that in a minute because she clears absolutely nothing. Is he going to be the same, or is he actually going to be able to make a clear? So like that, and you know, we talked about this assist from Proxima here, you know, and that can be important because jumping over to hers, if you look at her damage, it's actually pretty close to a regular basic here. It's only a 20% difference. And she also clears 1 positive effect. So between these two, you're going to be clearing potential 3 positive effects with the assists, and that's a pretty big deal. And I really like the fact that she's still doing almost equal damage to what her basic does anyway. So we'll look at the T4s and that when we get into that, but that's definitely a solid ability there. So next up is a special. This comes with 3 energy charge, so you're not really using this for turn 3. Attack the most injured enemy for 360% piercing, ignoring taunt and stealth. Not much to this ability. It'll be interesting for this one. You can kind of think that this might be something that's pretty situational, along with his ultimate. It seems very anti-Asgardian, or counter to Asgardian there a little bit. So when Sif gets a taunt, if you've hurt Thor or Loki or somebody so much prior to them getting ready to go in their stealth, he's gonna go, I don't care, I'm gonna do this. Or it's Loki's already done his ult, really is when that's gonna happen. And so you're getting right to it. So it's very interesting, but we'll check out T4s again later. The ability you're likely to use first is his ultimate, Grim Glaive. Attack primary target for 280% piercing damage. During stealth, this ability deals double damage against the primary target if they have defense up. Attack all adjacent targets for 200% piercing. So the during stealth part, we'll get to that in a minute more with his passive. But the double damage with defense up, again, you know, you're going to have that at the start for all Asgardians. And you're going to be hitting, this is the first turn. So pretty, you know, interesting ability here as far as being able to hit some damage and get double damage on this initial hit. So, and it seems that the double damage is only to the primary target. So now, and last but not least, his passive. So this is level level 4. On spawn, gain offense up for 2 turns. Very nice. On ally Thanos' turn, if he doesn't have the Mind Stone, grant him the Mind Stone and offense up for 2 turns. And which is nice, is Thanos is going to get offense up immediately from him. Immediately for 2 turns. This character can only do this once per match. When an enemy or this character drops below 50% health, gain 1 stealth for a maximum of 2. While in stealth, gain 20% crit chance and crit damage. And then gain 20% damage for Black Order, for himself, Black Order, and Thanos allies, which is pretty solid. So overall, it's a pretty decent kit. Lots of piercing. You know, you got the stealth abilities here where he's talking about in stealth, if an enemy goes underneath 50% health. Let's see, is there anything else here? I think that's the only time that he's going in stealth. Yeah, so what's interesting is I'm trying to remember, I haven't faced a lot of these in game yet, but for some reason I was thinking he got stealth pretty early. I was looking for something here that showed him to have stealth almost instantly. But we'll get to his speed and whether that matters or not in a couple minutes. But overall, you know, nothing crazy in the kit in my mind. The offense up is nice for himself, which he'll get automatically. And remember, he's going to assist Proxima, who is very fast. So his offense up assist is going to be, or his assist is going to be offensed up. So it's going to hit pretty hard. And he's going to be poking. It's going to be hard to get around stealth. And if you're defensed up, he's going to hit you pretty hard with that ultimate. So, you know, if you got something that's passively there, it's like, yeah, cool, get that away because I'm gonna rock you, basically. So anyway, now for me, the most exciting part is the stats. So let's jump into those. Okay, stats. So if you're not aware, I have this giant spreadsheet that has all the character stats in the game, and then I rank each column so that I know that they're 10th in health or 30th in damage and 70th in armor, 1st in speed, whatever. And then I see what their average rank is based on all of those specific rankings. And I have a baseline for the characters to set these stats on level 70, 7 yellow stars, 0 red stars, T11, 1% Stark Tech, and passive level 4 per MSF.gg is where I get all of that information. So it's pretty nice. It's been pretty much dead on everything I've seen in game from the Envoy program and all that. So I really do trust kind of what I find there. And the reason that I have T11 is because that's generally pretty easy to get to for most players. Maybe not brand new players, but generally speaking, it's not T13, it's not T14. I know the stats go dramatically higher, but I want to look at these characters at least at, you know, some even baseline that seems to make sense for most of the player base. So for Corvus Glaive, his average rank puts him at the 23rd ranked player in the game, which isn't that bad. His average stat rankings, however, are 50, and we'll go through those one by one because sometimes some of the stats that they have low ratings on or low rankings on don't necessarily matter for this tune. For me, for Corvus, I'd want him to be pretty fast. I'd want him to have good damage. His focus, like I mentioned before, we want to definitely look at it, especially compared to a Koei. We'll see if we can find her on this list for that basic for clearing positive effects. But his focus is really just that ability, and he's only using it turn 2, and then anything after that, and then all the assists from Proxima's basic. So first up is health. He's ranked 79th. That's 64,000 health. That does not surprise me at all. I think that you're not looking for this character to be very beefy. Next up, damage though, 7,400 at this at that level 7 baseline or level 70 baseline. That comes in ranked at 21st. I was pretty happy to see that. I was like, okay, all right, he's gonna, you know, especially with the piercing, he's gonna be ignoring a lot of armor. He's gonna be hitting pretty hard. So that could be pretty deadly there. It'd be really nice if you had high red stars on him for that damage. I could see him wiping out some tunes, especially when you're talking about that ultimate hitting the primary tune with defense up for double damage. It's gonna hurt. Next up here, we've got armor. Again, it comes in at ranked 83rd. I don't expect that to be very high. The ranking is 2,907, or sorry, the actual stat is 2,907. The ranking is 83rd. Fine, cool. All right, focus. His focus comes in ranked 18th in the game, which is, in my opinion, really high. Similar to Phoenix, which is pretty good. The rating is 1965. And now, the part I want to find here is I want to find Okoye, okay? So let's see if we can find Okoye. All right, so let me scroll up so you can see her, so I'm not blocking her. So this is Okoye. Her focus was 76th, 1404. So that's a dramatic difference. So I think he was 19 something. Yeah, 1965. So it's almost 500 focus higher. So you're actually going to see some clears with Corvus's basic as opposed to Okoye. So that to me is fantastic news. I'm really happy to see that. That is one of the stats that you really care about seeing. Next up, resistance. Actually, is pretty high. 1645 comes in at 28th. Really happy to see that. It's pretty good. You know, you want all characters to have high resistance, but your damage dealers sometimes don't have as high resistance, and to see his, you know, that high is like, okay, cool, pretty nice. Now, the one I was pretty surprised about was his speed. His speed is 101. It comes in ranked at 73rd, just a little bit faster than Minerva and Jessica Jones. For whatever reason, I thought Corvus would be a bit faster than this. I don't know, maybe he might be too OP or something. I don't know, but I was a bit surprised his speed was, you know, right around that halfway, you know, right in the middle of all tunes. I thought he'd be maybe upper third, not right at the halfway point. So like I mentioned before, you know, his overall average ranking there is in the 50s. But again, you know, he's got a high resistance. You know, he's got a low armor. So, you know, 83rd. You know, if you bring that up and get rid of it, you know, he's probably jumping up in the ranks quite a bit. So all in all, this is a pretty sick tune stat-wise. 23rd ranked in the game. You know, health and armor is, you know, in the bottom half barely in stat rankings. The other ones are all, you know, top third-ish, except for speed, which is about half. So I'm happy with his stats. I think they're going to be good. I don't see any big red flags on these. You know, obviously he's a damage dealer. He's not meant to be, you know, like a beefy person who can take a bunch of damage. But, you know, all in all, he's going to be stealth, hopefully, anyway. So, all right. So now let's look at his T4s. Okay, so Corvus's T4s here. Let's zoom in a little bit more for you. All right, so his basic. A T4 on that will add 20% additional piercing to the primary target for a total of 180% piercing. But the big T4 on this part of it is gaining that additional 50% chance for a guaranteed assist from ally Proxima Midnight. So I considered this good at the time when I'm looking at this. We'll see where I put it as far as, you know, essential and all that kind of stuff once I get to the rankings with Yeti. But it's definitely a good classification. And what I mean by that is when I used to do these, this spreadsheet is massive. It's every T4 ability in the game, and I used to classify them kind of a great, good, okay, meh, crap, and total crap. And then I'd typically rank them within each category, so I could say this is the best one, this is the second best one, this is. But then, you know, with the game becoming so team-based, some of that stuff mattered a little bit less and less. So, you know what, I still give them the classifications, but it's more of a first glance. That seems good. It seems meh. It seems okay. So for this one, it could be great given the assist from Proxima Midnight, especially considering that there's going to be some offense ups out there. But again, he's kind of slow. He's using the second turn, and then not again, I think, until his fourth turn. So that's where I'm like, all right, maybe you get a couple of sits out of her. So that was what was keeping me from putting it a great, but the guaranteed assist is nice. So I wouldn't have a hard time with anybody who says that's a great ability. And since there's no damage in it, I don't have a damage ranking to it. His special, an additional 40% piercing on the most injured enemy, ignoring taunt and self. So that piercing goes up to a total 400% piercing. That's really high. I have this ranked as meh, but I will say 360% piercing is really good. So the meh, that's probably too low of a ranking right now. I'll probably end up bringing this up by the time I get to the rankings with Yeti. But when I first saw this, I was like, you know what, he's already 360. I'm not sure an additional 40% piercing is going to do all that much, but you know, I self-admit that the piercing stat to me is a little bit weird. I understand what it does. It ignores armor and all that stuff. But sometimes I just, you know, I look at tunes like Wolverine and Yondu and, you know, mainly piercing tunes, and I'm always just underwhelmed by their damage. Always. The exception being when you got like an Ultron in there or a Ghost Rider, when their piercing is in the gigantic range. When you get an 100% piercing increase, that's when you're like, okay, that's huge. Like, that's amazing. So anyway, that's what I think about that one. His ultimate, additional 40% piercing again. During stealth, this ability deals double damage against primary target if they have defense up. And it's an additional 40% piercing to the adjacent target. So essentially, it's additional 40% piercing to everybody that's getting hit with the ability. I called this one okay. The reason I called it okay was because it is a turn 1 ability. You are hitting adjacent targets as well, as opposed to just the single targets with some of the other abilities. So it got a little bit better ranking because of that. But again, we'll see how when I really dive deep into these, we'll see. So, and then his passive. I just made note that when an enemy was, you know, below 50%, that he gains stealth. That was just so I remembered it was there. And then while in stealth, you gain an additional 20% crit chance. So he's got a 40% crit chance from his passive, and has a 20% crit damage while in stealth. And then gain an additional 10% damage for 30% total for himself, Black Order, and Thanos. So I wrote good and then questioned great on this. The crit chance, 40%, I was like, okay, you know, they don't really play with crit chance too much in this game to date. You know, it's obviously there, but you don't see that as being a huge factor in a lot of aspects of it. So, you know, I was there like, but then the 10% damage for himself and the whole team, that was where I was like, I think I kind of like it because of that. So I think his passive's probably going to be pretty high up there just for that damage part alone. But we'll see. But yeah, the basic is probably the one that most people are going to say, hey, you got to get that assist. The other two, maybe. I could see people saying the ultimate for sure, just because of the all the people it hits and it's turn 1. So we'll see. So anyway, that's what we got for all the abilities, the stats. Again, let's just jump in game and do an outro with this dude. All right, so yeah, Corvus Glaive. So what do I think? Do you want to be blitzing hard for this guy? I mean, look, given the fact that Black Order, and I use that word fact very loosely, that the Black Order might come into the game and just dominate arena, I'd be blitzing for this guy. You know, it's gonna take a lot of people a while to be able to get the shards on him. He's not gonna be farmable. Ghost Rider's still not farmable, and he was 6 months ago. So, you know, it's like, let's be smart here. You know what I mean? So do what you can to blitz. I'm sure the predictions are gonna be nuts high because people go nuts. Everyone's in quarantine. I hope everyone's staying safe, obviously. But there's a lot more time to blitz and do all kinds of different things. So I can see the scores being pretty high. I've stopped going for top 100. I can't keep up with that stuff. You know, obviously there's some stuff with bots out there and all kinds of different things that, you know, who knows if they're being used or not, but they appear to be at least advertised out there. So I don't know. I'm going to keep my life simple. I'm just going to shoot for like a top 1 to 2% or whatever it is these days. And try to, or top 2,000 rather, and try to get, you know, 85 shards to bring him up to, you know, 4, hopefully 5 stars if I can by the second blitz. So anyway, that's what I got to say. Do you want to get him? Yes, mainly because of Black Order, but he's not a bad tune. So he's got some pretty fun stuff. I think he's going to be piercing through a lot of armor, which you're going to really, really like. And the assist with Proxima, who's fast, is a nice thing. So you get that hit early and you get a hit a little bit later. So it's kind of like a early and late basic assist thing. So anyway, hope this helped. You know, as always, please hammer down on that like button, hit the subscription or notification bell, subscription button, all the stuff that's down below me. You know, just hit all those things. And you know, stop by the Discord. Links in the description below. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.